In this lesson, we're going to look beyond the simple strategy of laying the first set winner and ask ourselves the question that at 1 set all, and you're in a profitable position, should you trade the third set? And if you do trade the third set, how can you reduce some or all of your liability? In other words, to stop you making a loss should you be wrong in the third set. Now, why would you consider this in the first place? Because after all, you laid the first set winner, they've lost it, and you've made money. Move on. Well, there's a compelling reason in that you could win a lot more money. We look at the example we've been using so far, where we lay the first set winner for £50 at the odds of 1.5. Our risk is £25. You win 25 if you hedge out at the odds of 3.0 after they've lost the second set. But if you wait until the end of the match and they do in fact lose the match, then you would win £50, which is in this case double your profit. But the big question you need to ask yourself is, should you wait and see who wins the match? Now, here's an interesting statistic for you. How often does the favourite win the third set in 3-set matches? Now, the reason we're focusing on the favourite here is because typically when you do the research for each match to find the right match to trade, many times it's the favourite losing the first set that is the trigger to get in and start trading a match. So we ask the question here that when the favourite comes back in the second set, given that they are the favourite and their rank difference is more than 50, you may be thinking to yourself, well, surely most of the time the favourite goes on to win the match, so I might as well hang on in there and make more money. Well, you may be surprised and disappointed to know that actually it's only 54% of the time that the favourite, having won the second set, goes on to win the match. That number specifically, 54%, is taken from the completed matches in 2021 in both the ATP and the WTA. But I can tell you, if you go back, 2020 is a bit of an odd one because of the pandemic, but if you go back 2019 and a few years backwards, the figure is there or thereabouts. It ranges from anything like 52% to 55%. So really, that's not worth trading. Just out of interest, Match Alert, whilst it's not a service specifically for trading the third set, interestingly, because of the matches that are selected for that strategy, the second set winner in 70% of the case does go on to win the match. So that's just something of interest. Now, men and women matches at 1-1, when the favourite lost the first set, the third set winner is only 54% against 46% in favour of the favourite. And as I say there, that's too close to call. That's just gambling, and it really isn't worthwhile trading it. However, you could bank some profit here if you believe quite strongly that the second set winner will go on to win the match. You can bank some profit and reduce or remove completely your liability if you believe that that second set winner will win the match. So how do you go about reducing your liability? Well, when you are in a profitable position, which in this case will be at 1 set all, instead of doing a normal hedge for a guaranteed profit of whoever wins the match, you can vary the stake value that you use in that hedge to alter the outcome. So you still hedge at 1 set all, but by varying the stake value, you can change the outcome of depending on which player wins the match. Now, you can either remove your liability completely, so you don't lose any money. You will have lost your profit. You'll end up with 0 if you're wrong, but you won't have lost any money. Or you can reduce it, and in both cases, in return for a bigger profit. So how does that work? Well, let's just go into a bit of detail here. So using the same example of the first set winner having odds of 1.5, we would place a lay trade at 50, so our liability is £25 if they won the match and we hung around to the end of that. But it's 1 set all. So let's look what we do here. Now, as we said before, at 1 set all, their odds would go back up to roughly about 3.0. Now, we could hedge for a guaranteed profit, and that profit in this example would be £25, whoever won the match. But if we used a different stake value, let's say £50, we would hedge our position, we cash out effectively, but using a stake value of £50, then the profit of £75 will be achieved if the first set winner loses the match. In other words, the player that we were laying in the first place, if they actually lose the match, will win £75 rather than 50, if we just waited there. But the key thing is that if we're wrong and they actually win the third set, and remember 46% of the time they do, then we wouldn't lose anything. Now, some of you may say, well, that's a no-brainer. You're not going to lose anything. That's true, although you wouldn't win anything. And, this has taken up quite a bit of your time already, I'd imagine, maybe half an hour to an hour, something like that, just trading that second set and getting to a position where you're going to lay this reduced liability hedge. So you need to value your time. So I wouldn't recommend that you do it for nothing, but nevertheless, it's entirely your decision. The other option, and literally by playing around with this stake value, you get a different outcome. But if we used 35, for example, that would produce a profit of 45 if our player did lose the match, which is what we think is going to happen. But if we're wrong and they actually win the match, then we still win £15. And that is arguably a better outcome, I think, because yes, you're losing £10 against your guaranteed profit of 25 if they won the match, but you're winning an extra 20 quid against a winning, guaranteed hedge of £25 if they lose the match. Now, if all of that seems a bit confusing, the good news is we have a free tool on our website to calculate the stake value. So let's have a look at that tool and run through this example that we've got here to show you how it all works. This is the reducing liability calculator that you can find on our website under free tools. And it works for both back trades, if you were to back the first set loser, for example, and of course laying the first set winner, which is what we're doing here. So if we run through the numbers of the example that we've already gone through, we were saying that our first set winner had odds after the first set of 1.5. We put on a stake of £50, which we were risking 25, and they lost the second set. Their odds went up to 3.0. Now, in this instance, if you were to do a straightforward hedge, which would require a stake value of 25, then you'd lock in £25 and it doesn't matter who wins, and you can go off and do another trade or live your life, whatever you wanted to do. But as we said before, if you are confident that the second set winner now has the momentum and they will go on to win the match, and you believe that that's going to happen, then you can play around with this. So if we put in £50, you can see that if your player wins, and remember we're laying them so we don't want them to win, but if they do go on to win the match, then we lose nothing. We haven't lost our £25, we've lost nothing. But if the player does lose the match, which of course we feel overwhelmingly likely is going to happen, then we'll win £75, which is 3 times what we were going to win on a straightforward hedge. Now, some people would say you've got nothing to lose there. Nothing. You lose nothing if they win the match. I would argue that you've already spent some time in this, and you've got to put some value on your time. So you don't really want to go for zero. I'd go for something a bit better. Maybe put in £35. There you go. If your player wins the match, i.e. your trade is lost, you will still win £15, which is only 10 quid less than what you would have done on a straightforward hedge. But you get an extra 20 quid at £45 if they lose the match. So this is a really useful tool to help you see what the numbers are like if you believe, and this is the key thing, if you truly believe that the second set winner will go on to win the match. As I said before, if you like doing play first set winner, but you like backing the opponent instead, it works exactly the same. So you put in the odds here, and I'm making them up here, but let's say it was 1.5 for one and 3 for the other, and they just flipped at the end of the first set. So at the end of the first set, we would be backing the opponent here, and we use a same stake value. And then they win the second set, and their odds would go down to 1.5. If you were to put in a £50 stake value here, if the player that you backed does actually win the match, you'll win £75. But if they don't win the match, you don't lose anything at all. You would say, well, I was going to win 100 quid if they win the match. Yes, you would, but you were going to lose 50 quid if they didn't. So this is very much down to how you feel about how the match is going to progress from here, how you value your time, what you want to do with that supposed stake value. This is a really useful tool to help you play around and let you predict what the outcome could be, win or lose, if you don't plan on hanging around to watch the third set.